Hi, I am Karen of Karen Clark Creations, an artsy introvert, and I am so nervous, but this is Season 1, Episode 1 in my Friends Sketchbook, A Creative Homage. For this episode, I decided to paint a spoon, and that is in reference to the end where Ross says, I just grabbed a spoon. I just love that. I had other ideas. I was going to do maybe a cookie because at the end Ross and Rachel split a cookie. I also almost did a bowl of ice cream with jimmies and nuts because, Joey is saying how women are like bowls of ice cream and you can't have just one. You got to try all the different flavors. Maybe Bing, cherry vanilla. There was also the Monica storyline where she dated that guy and there was a broken watch. So I was thinking maybe a broken watch. Or Rachel talks about being more turned on by a gravy boat than she was about Barry. So I also thought about painting a gravy boat. But this spoon just kept coming into my mind. So to paint this, I went to Unsplash for a reference photo. I will link it down in the description below so you know who provided the photo. I took my own photo and I decided it just wasn't good enough, and this one was so much better. I loved the angle of it. Funny though, a couple years ago, when I first had this idea, actually 5 or 6 years ago, when I first had this idea, I painted a spoon, and I only got that far. And it turned out so good. It looks so much better than the one I just painted, but it's not in my sketchbook, so it's okay. I love what I painted today. It goes through a very difficult stage. I personally think that every painting has an ugly stage, but this one I struggled. There was severe struggle bus happening, but I pushed through it. And I'm so proud of Season 1, Episode 1, the spoon that I have at the end. I am using Daniel Smith watercolors. I used 3 colors. French Ultramarine and Quinacridone red are what I used for the background, a very, very light purple. And I chose purple to kind of reflect Monica's walls in her apartment. I almost thought about putting some of that beautiful bright teal blue or cobalt blue maybe that is on her shelves in her kitchen, but I didn't want to make it harder on myself, so I stuck with the purple. Then as I move along, I think in this section of the spoon, I also added Payne's gray to darken it up, and I also used some Payne's gray in the deep shadow underneath the spoon. The shadow is really where I had the struggle bus, and you'll see I'll have little notes come across the scene so you can see it. Cut out the sections where I used the heat tool because I didn't think that was interesting, and no one needs to hear that, so I cut it completely out. Just adding some detail lines so that you can tell it's a spoon. I don't think that all of my shadows or bright highlights are perfectly accurate. I definitely don't think that, but I think they were needed in areas that I put them to define where the edges of the spoon are. My perspective is a little bit off, but it's okay because you can tell it's a spoon. You can tell what this is, and I'm perfectly fine with the fact that the shadow should have been a little bit more rounded in the middle of that spoon. I still am very proud of it. I think it's great. The brush I'm using is a Mimik brush from Jerry's Artarama by Creative Mark. It's a number 8. It's fairly new, so the point on that is really good. I still struggle because I'm nervous, so those straight lines are a little shaky. It's okay. I clean it up in the end. It's perfectly fine. This is the first one, though. This is the first painting in this precious sketchbook. And I put so much emphasis on it, and it was hard. I think the next one is going to be so much better because I would have broken through that nervousness with the first painting. At least that's what I'm hoping. The background, I used Royal and Langnickel Menta brush. I don't love painting with that brush for details, but I like it for big washes and backgrounds. Just add a little definition to the other side of the handle of the spoon. I didn't want it to get lost, and while there's not technically a shadow over there, it definitely needed something to show that it was there. Now trying to get the end of that spoon to really be defined. It had such a pretty little scalloped edge to it, and I was afraid it was getting lost, so I spent a little bit more time on it. I think it definitely comes across now, but for a section there, it looked a little bit flat on the end. Now I'm trying to fix the fact that it looks like someone stuck the spoon into a garbage disposal. I'm trying to get that rounded edge back. I get it. That's better. Now I'm going to try to add this shadow, and this shadow really was tough because I probably could have left it alone early on and it would have been fine. But I kept fiddling with it and fiddling with it and fiddling with it, and you're going to see me struggle here, but it's entertaining. Not everything is easy. Watercolor can be difficult. Painting and creativity does not always come easily, and that is a-okay. I keep dipping into the water and then wiping the brush off onto that paper towel because I don't want to introduce too much water that it washes away the work I've done on the shadow. I just want slightly damp so that I can blend without clearing away what I've done. See there, I added too much water and then some of my color came up when I dabbed it. Oops. And I just keep playing with it. Oh boy. Yep. That's what I did. That's Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. I am going to use this to add highlights to the spoon and make it more contrast and shiny. I thought about using gouache, but I just feel like Dr. P.H. Martin's had so much of a punch of bright white that I wanted to try that, and I think it was the good choice. definitely able to define that edge, and where the edge of the spoon meets that shadow, and it definitely makes it look more straight, which is good, but also shinier. And here I can actually fix that curved edge a bit more. Isn't peeling the tape off so satisfying? Even though this is a very light background, it just feels so nice to see that crisp edge of my painting. I love this stage. I don't always put in a background, so sometimes it's just going to be, white of the paper, but I definitely wanted this one to have a really light, pretty background. At this point, I wasn't sure if I was finished with the spoon, so I'm going to zoom in and take a look at it and let it sit for a few minutes. I walked away, let my eyes rest, and then I came back to it and decided I needed to add a little bit more to the shadow. I needed more contrast. And while it was fine the way before, it was fine the way the shadow was before, I think it definitely looks better with that added dark under there of where actually the spoon and the table meet. And I think there we have it. So I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you stuck it out to the end. Thank you so much for joining me, and be sure to give me a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell because Season 1, Episode 2 is coming up.